Married at First Sight, season 15. Oh, where are they now? San Diego. We finally made it to the end of season 15 to Where Are They Now? This season started way back in June. We've been on the same roller coaster for almost 6 months now, and I tell you, I'm nauseous and I need to get off this ride. So this episode was taped around 5 months after Decision Day and only a few weeks after the reunion. I mentioned in my last video that these episodes feel forced to me, and I maintain that feeling. Like, rather than follow them around in their homes and chronicle a real day in the life moments with each couple, or simply just interview them, they come up with these storylines for each cast member and place them in situations where they're forced to try and play them out. So the main storyline for this episode is that since Krysten is moving to New York for a job promotion, she decided to plan one final gathering in a mansion with all of the cast members before she leaves. Yeah, I didn't buy that for 1 second, that she would plan this huge going away party that didn't include any of her close friends and family. But anyway, the episode was a countdown to her going away party, with the party being the main event. Oh, and I was able to take a little peek at some of their Instagram accounts. I'll sprinkle some of their pictures in throughout this video. So let's do this. Let's get into the final highlights of season 15. The storyline for Lindy and Miguel was that Lindy wants to move to a bigger place so that they can at least start talking about having babies, even though they both agree that their finances are not where they should be just yet. So even still, the show had them go house shopping as if they're in the market to purchase right now. So I would bet my hard-earned money that this house they were looking at was not even on the market. I know enough about production to know that it's much easier to rent an Airbnb or even use a crew member's house for a scene like this. I'm not trying to spoil other shows, but even HGTV uses this tactic sometimes when they're allegedly taking you inside a home for sale. But anyway, the point of all of this was to show us that Lindy and Miguel are not ready to buy a home, blah, blah, blah. There you have it. They tried to highlight these besties by giving them a single lady storyline, like they read corny DMs they received from admirers to each other. Then they decided that they would go on a double date together. The only problem I had with the storyline is the show is called Married at First Sight. Like, they are already married thanks to your shows. So why are they sending them on dates rather than a shopping spree at a therapist's office? Anyway, Alexis did mention that Weeping Willow's rage at the reunion was a normal experience for her. That throughout the season, we mostly saw his crying, but there was an opposite side to him, which was his rage. The more I hear her talk about what she went through with him, the more I question her yes on Decision Day. I've never trusted that yes was real. Stacia told her mom that she asked Nate for a separation, then quickly corrected herself and said, or a divorce, I guess. So basically she said that Nate is moving too slow. Like, why get married at first sight if he wanted to move so slow? Plus, Nate keeps asking her if she's fulfilled, but nothing has changed for her to feel more fulfilled, so he's still closed off. So Stacia's mom told her that her pace is faster than most as is, therefore her expectations are a bit much, and she said that Nate called her to let her know that he still loves Stacia, but feels hopeless. I feel like Stacia was a good fit for this show in terms of her pace. Like, they need people who can fall in love in 2 minutes, plan a future together, and be knocked up by week 8. However, her theme song should be Janet Jackson's Control. Control. Stacia wants to be the one in control. They met up at probably the cleanest park in San Diego to pick up trash. Combined, it looked like they found maybe 6 little pieces of trash to pick up. So Son of a Mitch asked Weeping Willow if he's spoken to Alexis since the reunion. He said not at all. but Alexis told Krysten earlier that they've spoken a couple of times. Then, in the next breath, he made it clear that they have spoken because he said that they haven't been getting along because of a comment Alexis made on Married at First Sight after party, where she said that she and Weeping Willow tried to have sex, but it didn't manifest. So Weeping Willow is pissed that she told the world that he couldn't get an erection. Okay, so Alexis insinuated that there was a problem on his side when she said it didn't manifest. However, by him straight out saying that he couldn't get an erection, not only did he validate what she said, but he also filled in the blanks. Just in case there was any question, she was referring to him not being able to get an erection, just so you know. Thank you for that, Weeping Willow. So also, let's keep in mind the timeline of all of this. The reunion was taped in August, but that after party episode didn't air until after the reunion at the beginning of September. So at the time of the reunion, no one had seen that after party episode yet. Then Weeping Willow brought up the reunion and apologized to Son of a Mitch that he had to see that side of him. He said he's not sorry about his exchange with Nate. The point he was trying to make is that you made a pass at me, dude. Do you? And Son of a Mitch asked him if he really feels like Nate made a pass at him. And he said yes. Son of a Mitch basically said that Nate's intentions versus how it made Weeping Willow feel were probably not aligned, which may or may not be true. Weeping Willow's on a mission to clear his name, but he's actually making himself look worse because we never saw his hot temper before his cleanup tour. So now he's showing us why a lot of the cast don't like him. They had Krysten go over to Nate's apartment to get his side of the story of what's going on between him and Stacia. Krysten said she'd never been to his place before, so clearly this is not something that they would do in reality. Anyway, he basically said that they had a huge disagreement, and the bottom line is that they communicate differently. He said when Stacia demands that he opens up and be vulnerable, he gets triggered, feels unsafe, like she's trying to pry him open. He said he feels like Stacia has no more emotion towards him and that the relationship might be over, which makes him feel hopeless. Okay, so at the reunion, Nate said that he wishes that he had been more open during the season. So he does have a problem with being open and clearly communicating his feelings when he's upset. Therefore, Stacia does have a point, but just like he needs to be patient with her while she works on trying to control where each drop of water lands when he turns on a faucet, she needs to be patient while he works on being able to spill the tea on his own feelings. So in the end, Krysten told him that he needs to go see Stacia, which was an obvious setup production needed so that they can have Nate and Stacia film together. Surprise, surprise, Nate showed up to Stacia's house. He brought an art project and they painted on canvases, but they only used black paint, which is an odd color choice for a project in Stacia's White House. Like, if one drop spilled, it would literally ruin her carpet, wall, sofa, counter, wherever it touched. Anyway, afterwards, they got in a fight because Nate wants to take things day by day, like live in the moment, but Stacia wants to make plans for the future. Given the current state of their marriage, I can understand why Nate doesn't want to make future plans if they can barely get through today. However, if he and Stacia are not willing to come up with a compromise that they both can live with, this can destroy their marriage because Stacia is currently on the baby train with no brakes. She's not trying to hear, I don't know, let's take it day by day. So apparently during their big blow-up fight, Stacia told Nate that she signed up for marriage and he signed up to be in a relationship. And he claims that statement hurt his feelings and caused him to shut down for 5 days. That's not a shutdown. That's a vacation. In 5 days, she could have flown to Vegas, gambled away all of her money, won it back, seen the Blue Man Group, chowed down at 6 all-you-can-eat buffets, driven down to the Vegas border to play slots at Whiskey Pete's, drive back to the Strip to drop off the rental car, fly back to San Diego, and still have 2 days to spare before he was done with his 5-day shutdown. Wow. So in the end, they unhappily agreed that Nate would spend the night. So later, they talked about seeing Weeping Willow at Kristen's shindig. Nate said that it wasn't cool that Weeping Willow tried to embarrass him on national TV during the reunion. So he's just going to try to keep his distance from him. Ben went to Caddy's Muay Thai gym. She said that Ben needs to work on having a backbone in a relationship, that maybe this will launch him into his alpha season. Girl, if Muay Thai makes you more alpha, might I suggest some ballet classes for you instead? So Ben said that his therapist advised him to write a letter to his dad. So he's learning not to allow others to put pressures on him and is focusing on what he wants. So they punched, they kicked, she conquered, and then they agreed that they could be friends. Later, Krysten, Alexis, and Stacia took a pole dancing class in the middle of a park where they all had to share the same pole. Personally, I would be afraid to swing around a pole that wasn't anchored at the top, but it seemed to have worked out for them. So after swinging around the same sweaty pole, they had a little chat. And Krysten and Alexis talked about who they chose for their double dates. Krysten said she matched with her guy on a dating app before the show, but she got picked, so they never met. And then after the show, she rekindled. And Alexis claims she asked her friends if they knew any tall man that would be good for her. And they were like, yeah, of course. I'm not buying any of this. So back in my days of pursuing an entertainment career, I was on the Dr. Phil show. On the show, Dr. Phil claimed that he set me up with some guy and sent me on a date with him. But what really happened was that the producers had me place a Craigslist ad back when Craigslist still had personal ads. And then they hit up some of the guys who responded and explained about it being televised and what releases they would have to sign and so on. And they even offered the guy that I went out with the opportunity for a different dating show project that they were working on. I mean, this entire episode just reeks of fake reality to me. So while they were swinging around a pole in the park, Son of a Mitch met with his brother and sister-in-law, and they mostly talked about things we've already heard them say. The process was hard, and he's working through everything he needs to learn from going through all of this. Plus, he's hoping that he and Krysten can have a nice chat at her going-away party later. Then they showed Krysten and Alexis went on their fake double date. When Kristen's date arrived, she introduced herself. I'm Krysten! If y'all been chatting online, why wouldn't he know your name already? So after Alexis's date rolled up, she said to the confessional cam that he's cute and she's feeling the chemistry. So meanwhile, Krysten was asking her guy plastic straw questions, as if she's trying to vet out another Son of a Mitch debacle. I mean, it was obvious that neither of them were taking these dates seriously. They could have cut this scene altogether because it didn't help us understand where they are now. This was an odd and awkward encounter. Weeping Willow opens by saying that Alexis called him to that park because she wanted to talk. However, she had her face in her phone most of the time and appeared to be scrolling through her Instagram feed. Weeping Willow was like, you told the world that I couldn't get an erection, but you left out the reason why. But I understand because it's embarrassing for you. And Alexis started to say something and he says, shut up. She's like, shut up. It was at this point that I pretty much knew he was about to say something foul. He said, why do you think I couldn't get an erection? Because your pH balance was off. Oh, Weeping Willow. How deep in the abyss of lowness will you go to try and clear your name? You're making it worse. At least before, there were people who saw you as a victim in some situations, but now you're coming in hot as the villain. So Alexis said, okay, let's talk about it. What else you want to say? I have a big head, my feet are too big, my breasts stank. So he called her a narcissist and said, you are a sad individual and I'm going to pray for you because my walk with Christ is that strong. I bet Christ was like, leave my name out of it. At this point, these two are just toxic and they don't need to be in the same room together. So Alexa stayed in the park and called Krysten, and she told her that she's always the one who looks like the bad guy because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. Girl, you may want to take a peek at some of that footage again. Weeping Willow may be unhinged and handling it horribly, but he's not wrong. You have said some hurtful things. All of the cast members make their entrances into the house for the going away party. So after Weeping Willow walked in last with his condom hat on, the producers asked him what the vibe was like when he entered the room, and he said, fake as F. So later we see the cast and they're playing games and chatting it up while Weeping Willow was lurking in the corners by himself. Everywhere he turned, he saw someone that he insulted sitting amongst the various groups. So it was crazy awkward. So Sullivan Mitch was nice enough to throw him a bone and went over to sit with him. I'm sure his pouting alone was getting pretty lonely. So later we saw that Sullivan Mitch brought a birthday gift for Krysten because her birthday was a few weeks prior, and he included a very nice card. So she was too emotional to read it, so Sullivan Mitch had to read it for her. So some of what he said was, I'm glad we have the opportunity to spend time together before you ride off into the sunset. I want you to know that I'm extremely thankful for this unique experience we shared. I'll always remember the good times. You've broadened my perspective and pushed me out of my comfort zone. I wish you all of the best and confident you will find everything you're looking for in life. So Krysten was crying the entire time he was reading it. The gift was a fanny pack and a little inspirational plaque and some other things that we didn't get to see. The way she reacts to him, I believe she was head over heels in love with that man and is still working on getting over him. But I can see that this show has softened him up because he has been more kind and thoughtful to not just her, but seemingly to some of the other cast members as well. So meanwhile, Alexis pulled Weeping Willow aside and apologized to him for whatever he thought she said on After Party that was hurtful. She said she thought she was being tactful. Tactful would have been to not mention that incident at all, especially since you didn't count it as actually having sex, which was the question Keisha asked. Have you had sex yet? So to the confessional cam, Weeping Willow said, hearing Alexis apologize, I take it with a grain of salt, but it makes me want to be a man and own up to my own shiz. Didn't take it with a grain of salt, please. Not only could I see his energy shift for the better after that apology, but it inspired him to go on an apology tour. He pulled Nate aside and said that I never should have insinuated that you made a pass at me, bruh. I'm sorry for that. And then Nate accepted his apology and said that they were both going through a lot at the time, and he took his emotions out on Weeping Willow. So Nate apologized to Weeping Willow for putting pressure on him at the reunion. So to the confessional cam, though, Nate said that he accepts the apology, but there will always be some animosity between the two of them because the damage has already been done. So it was nice to see Weeping Willow give that particular apology because accusing Nate of coming on to him was uncalled for. So after that, Weeping Willow was on a roll and decided to address the entire group. He apologized to Krysten for calling her fake. He apologized to Caddy for just being a dick. Ben just sorry in general. He apologized to Lindy for being vindictive. He apologized to Stacia for disrespecting her husband. And Alexis, he had none for her. She was sitting there looking all sad like, what about my apology for saying my sugar bowl stank? So to the confessional cam, she said she don't feel like his apologies were sincere because he didn't apologize to her. But she's at peace and can completely move forward without it. Since when does leaving out an apology make the other apologies fake, though? So at the end of the night, Krysten and Alexis were getting ready for bed, and Krysten was questioning whether or not she should have given her relationship with Son of a Mitch a chance outside of the cameras. Oh, Krysten, what is going on that you can't let that man go? Normally, I would say that the sex got you all messed up, but even that wasn't good. This cast argues about almost everything, but everyone seems to be in agreement that he didn't treat you good and you did the majority of the work in the marriage. Let that man go. Just go enjoy New York and the dating problems the new city will bring. So then they talked about Weeping Willow, of course, and Krysten said that when he was going around the circle and didn't apologize to Alexis, she assumed that he apologized to her one-on-one. Since he didn't, she's now questioning if his apologies are real. Did she really, though? Or did she have a conversation with Alexis earlier and is now echoing what Alexis feels? I don't know. Alexis says she knows from experience that he's a manipulative person, and that's all I'm going to say. Again, Why did you say yes on decision day when you have way more negative things to say about him than positive? I'm not saying he's not all of these things, but if he is all of these things, why did you want to stay? The following morning, they all said their goodbyes, and with that, finally, this season is over. Woo! I don't know about you, but this season was a long haul for me. I literally started to experience content creator burnout these last few weeks. So I'm going to rethink how and if I'm going to cover next season. But in the meantime, I'm going to bust open this channel and start covering other shows and celebrities, which was my initial intention before I went strictly down the Married at First Sight rabbit hole somehow. So please stay tuned because I've got some new non-Married at First Sight content coming your way that I hope you will love, watch, and subscribe to if you haven't already subscribed. But as far as Married at First Sight Season 15 San Diego is concerned, it's a wrap. Love you. Bye.